Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, March the 3rd, 2021. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Alan Richie Cunningham. And on my left, filling in for Super Dave this week, is the Italian Stallion, Evan Morselli. And to my right, Mr. Duke Forrest.
Yeah.
And Duke, if I may, before I get into sports here, of course, there is no messenger.
Not till Friday, not till...
The day after the election. I'm going to tell you something, Duke, you being in the news business.
Is the messenger, is it Thursday or Friday? Is it not
It's
till...
Friday.
Friday.
Right. But you being in the news business for the last 40 plus years, the most important letters in the word news is the first three, N-E-W. And what does that spell? New. And by Friday, news is actually history. So, but anyways, that's what you have to put up with the newspaper that decides to go 2 days a week. So,
for the record, I did meet the Messenger's pretty new executive editor who was with me for the first hour last night. Very good guy, Cameron Paquette. I also noted to him, he was surprised to hear it. I had looked in the Messenger to make sure I had his title right, and they had it misspelled in the kind of the masthead. They added a U. Paquette is P-A-Q-U-E-T-T-E.
Yeah.
So in the paper, I'm looking at P-A-U. I said, boy, that sounds funny.
No.
I pointed that out. I said, I'm still a pretty good proofreader.
Yeah.
But nice guy. I wished him well. Believe me, he's coming into this situation at not the easiest time.
No, definitely not. So, enlighten me. Any surprises?
I guess, again, there was just one race in St. Albans City. Mayor Tim Smith halfway through his second term, but two council seats are up every election, Ward 5 and 6, and the mayor. I had interviewed the mayor and Brendan Deso this morning on my biweekly show, and the mayor said he was surprised I was too in Ward 5. Kate Lattison was the incumbent. In fact, I think she had been involved in the last contested race on the council 6 years ago. Was running for a third term, and Bob Farrer jumped into the race, the former city attorney who came very close to winning Franklin County probate judge race. He had actually won the Democratic primary over the person who beat him, Mr. Como. Von Como, but then Como got enough Republican write-in votes to be on the ballot in November, and Como ended up winning. Anyway, Bob Farrer, a very well-known person, former longtime city attorney, but I think the Vegas odds, we're thinking, a strong candidate, but no reason to think Councilor Lattison would lose, but lose she did. And I was hearing last couple of weeks that Farrer was running really hard, was really giving it a lot of effort. He was in front of City Hall when I voted yesterday on a not exactly warm day, I think all day, and I saw a bunch of his signs. I'm in Ward 1. But anyway, that was, I think that was a surprise, to most people. He won by 18 votes, 107 to 89. There was no contested races in St. Albans Town. Brendan Deso reelected, and Brian Delorier succeeding Stanley Dukas. But I guess the hottest races in St. Albans were the school board races that got a fair amount of attention. And I think as I figured ahead of time, it's tough to beat a Delorier around here. Peter Delorier, of course, still holds the record, I think, for longest serving mayor of St. Albans. He ran. There were two seats on the city, two city seats on the Maple Run Unified School District Board. Nilda Ganella French, who's been a long-time board member, now vice chair. She was the one incumbent. Jeff Morrill didn't run for re-election, the outgoing board chair. Anyway, and Ryer Erickson was the third candidate who ended up on the cover of 7 Days last week, one of a number of black folks who were running for office around Vermont. And I just thought it would be tough for him to win, and indeed he came in third, but Peter Delorier was the top vote getter. Nilda came in second, both elected. Ryer Erickson came in third. And in St. Albans Town, there was a contest there. Jennifer Williamson, who was, I think, a strong supporter of Ryer Erickson, vice versa, running against Peter Delorier's daughter, Katie Delorier Messier, and she won easily against Jennifer Williamson. So I think those were the two contests in St. Albans that got a fair amount of attention. Swanton had 4 4 contested races, which I don't think I've ever run into before.
Yeah, that's good.
And just the community swimming pool was a big issue on the St. Albans city ballot, passed easily as expected, and St. Albans town, which the town hall voters they approved basically moving ahead with the town hall by a little over 2-1.
And lastly, were you surprised by the narrow margin victory, Mayor Merle?
I think we have a
call.
Come back to that. Let's grab a call.
All right, good evening. Get that bat off your bat or your shoulder and get the mud out of your cleats and get up to the plate. You're the first caller tonight on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Len.
I don't know if you got my alert on Cal Raleigh being on ESPN today.
I didn't get that, but I got what you earlier sent on Cal, which I appreciate. But no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he played. He started today against the Cubs. It was on ESPN at 3, and
wow.
Before they took him out, he was 1 for 3, and he had a line drive that, hit the top of the fence in left center, and as Dizzy Dean used to say, a blue darter.
Yeah.
And so he was 1 for 3 and did himself well. No mistakes behind the plate, and good to see him out there. So I alerted a lot of people to that today because I thought they'd like to see it.
Yeah,
Leonard,
that's great. Thanks, Len. That's great. Great news.
The thing that Cal Raleigh has going for him is Seattle may have the weakest catcher tandem in baseball. They have veteran Tom Murphy, age 30. Not a big stick, and they have some Latino guy that I've never even heard of.
Oh, yeah. Cal's going to start in AAA, and, give him a month there, and if he really is, squaring it up, by bringing him up after the end of April, they can throw him another year. And so I would be very surprised if, given if he does, he doesn't have to tear the hide off the ball at AAA. He's just got to look like he belongs, and if he does, in 2019 he led all minor league catchers in baseball and home runs with 29.
Yeah. And the other thing he has going for him is Seattle, unarguably, is top worst 4 teams in all of baseball. Like I mentioned, Murphy's 30 years old. So at that point, after you're deep into the dark cellar, they're going to say, well, what's the point of keeping Murphy? We'll bring the Raleigh kid up and, see how he does. They've got absolutely nothing to lose.
They have a very good minor league system, though. They have a lot of young talent.
Yeah. But they're major. They could lose 100
they're in
this
a
year.
tough division, obviously.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, they haven't been a factor for
A lot of years.
quite a while.
Yeah.
So, but also, I think Miro Weinberger ought to send Ali Dang a gift basket.
Could be. Ali Hawk, of course, was the third kind of major candidate in the race. Another Burlington City Councilor who ran as an independent who didn't do as well. Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
Well. He did well enough for Miro.
Yeah.
I guess got about 13% of the vote. But Hawk, in answer to your question, I thought Miro would win, but I thought it would be close. The WVMT folks who I wake up to every morning, Kurt Wright, thought Miro would win in a pretty close election. His partner, Marcus Murda, thought Max Tracy would win, and indeed, Max almost did win.
Oh, God, yeah. It was
129 votes, 129.
129 votes, right now, over 14,000 cast.
Yeah.
And, I voted yes for the pool. I voted yes for the St. Albans budget for the last 11 years.
Have you ever voted against it?
No, I voted yes for everything for the last 11 years. Nothing in St. Albans City has gone down to defeat in 11 years, and they go in by a substantial margin. They win by pretty large margin. So it would be fun to have an investigative reporter take a look at state budgets around Vermont and different cities and towns. And St. Albans, back when I was in the newspaper business, it You were there. It was knocked down, drag out. I mean,
I can tell you.
I mean, and now it's just it's like a rubber stamp. And again, I'm saying this from someone who votes yes, because I can afford it and look at the city. It looks nice. But you know, I'm a little distraught over the Tabor building thing going down here all of a sudden, and
big story.
Looking at quite a drop in the grand list. That building's in there for $14.4 million, I think, on the grand list.
Just to tell Nighthawk, this is the USCIS, U.S. Customs and Immigration Services building, right? Past the police station, down in Lower Weldon.
Not long ago.
You know, the immigration, hundreds of jobs.
200 went to Essex. Now, I guess another 200 have been sent to Essex, and they're trying to find a place where the other people can work, and they're saying Franklin County, but, you know, I don't know where they would put 600 people in Franklin County.
There was a water line break in the building a while ago, and
I did read that story, yeah. So there's another story I don't believe has been reported. Milan and Swanton's on the verge of shutting down. Have you heard that?
I mean, Milan and Swanton, I mean, their main place is St. Albans City, of course.
But they have something in Swanton.
Yeah, they have a plant there in Swanton.
And I heard that shutting down
sooner, it means nothing to me.
Later.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, see, Milan was bought up by a European firm, I guess within the past 5 years. I forget the name of the firm, but, you know, and whenever there's a buyout, I mean, there's been all kinds of rumors surrounding Milan for the last several years. They've been hiring, I believe, lately, or
of course, their expansion, Hawk.
18 months they were hiring.
Their expansion in St. Albans City led to the basically revitalization was the key, the most key part of that.
Right.
With the
But
co-ops
if
expansion helped with the tax increment financing, the TIF thing.
Right. Well, the TIF works fine, you know, as long as the grand list, it builds up the grand list, these TIF projects. And that's all well and good. But, you know, if we lose INS, there's 1,000 employees in the middle of the city. And I'm not even suggesting this is going to happen. This is just looking at the fact that, worst case scenario, let's say Milan were to pull out. Oh, wow, I tell you what, the grand list takes a hell of a hit in the city of St. Albans.
And the TIF thing, yeah, that would be
you know who's left holding the bag.
Very bad news, right? The city, of course, is left holding the bag.
But the piece of investigative reporting I would like to see someone do is to come up with an exact figure of how many rentals there are in the city of St. Albans versus single-family homes. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just speculating. I would almost hazard a guess there may be as much as 40% that are rental, whose ownership probably live outside the city. So they don't even vote, but they pay property taxes. So I wonder if that's possibly, I'm not saying it is, I'm just wondering out loud if possibly that's why all these budget votes pass. Because a lot of people who are voting don't have a stake.
No, I don't think so. Leonard, local budgets almost never. The last time a city budget was defeated was when I think Mayor Marty Manahan was restructuring, i.e. downsizing the fire department, which got, including our good friend Tessie, bent out of shape. That's the last time a city budget went down. Look over the state. I never see school budgets obviously go down sometimes. Local budgets almost never, very rarely go down. St. Albans isn't any different than any other place.
Well, in terms of, so you think it's not unusual for a city to see that many budgets vote overwhelmingly yes for so many years?
Well, I don't look at the tallies, but like I said, local budgets, local municipal budgets rarely go down. For one thing, the taxes you get hit with, as I don't have to tell you, are about 3/4 or 80% school related. Right. Municipalities, I think the city budget was up maybe a couple percent. The town, I think, about the same. Municipal folks usually don't do anything too crazy. The much higher taxes are pretty much attributable to schools. Local municipal budgets, I think, are pretty rarely just don't get defeated much.
Yeah, well, that's obviously the case, but that's much different than when you and I were, pounding the pavement back in the 70s.
I'm not sure it's different. I mean,
oh, you remember Cliff Noyes made it a blood sport.
Well, I showed up in '75, so it might have been. Yeah, budgets would go down.
And I'm not
sometimes.
saying that was right. I'm just saying it was a blood sport. He's taking on the city government. I mean, the city council meetings, they were attended by reporters, and Cliff just made it a point of, making it as difficult as he could, seems so, for city management.
Yeah,
and I'm not suggesting we should do that. I'm just pointing out the differences between the time periods. But
I guess
having said
right.
that, I think the Tabor building, I'm hoping it's not quite a dead issue yet, because I think they want to. I think they almost want to leave. I mean, they had to tell the landlords at the Tabor building by, I believe, March 3rd that they weren't going to renew in June. You kind of wonder, that's Patrick Leahy's baby. And, of course, as head of the Appropriations Committee now, with Biden in office, you would think he wields maybe enough power to maybe, hey, let's get the building fixed and let's stay there.
Yeah. Leonard, is Pizza Galley the landlord of that building?
No. You might be thinking of a story that appeared within the past year where Pizza Galley was suggesting building a new building for INS across from Maple Fields in that farmer's field that Sam Smith owned.
Yeah, in St. Albans Town, which the city folks weren't thrilled.
Proposed putting a building up there. That was their hope. And they would move all of INS to the town. So I don't know where that stands. I haven't heard anything about that. That was, I think, pre-COVID.
Yeah, I haven't heard a thing about that in a long time.
But you don't remember that coming out in the papers?
Yeah, I remember that. There's been no news on that for quite a while.
No, nothing since. I think maybe the COVID exposure probably put a kibosh to
could be
that. But I think the pool is just another gem for the city. I mean, there aren't many cities in America our size that have so much to offer. I don't say that in a partisan way. I just think it's true. I traveled a lot. I mean, for a city of 7,500 people, and throw the town in there, and you got about 15,000 in all.
You're high. You got about 13,000. The city's under 7,000, I think. You got about 13,000 between the two.
Okay, so for a 13,000 person metropolis, as I say, I don't think there are many places in America that got more to offer in terms of hotels, restaurants, recreation, especially. They've got two gems. I mean, they've got the Collins Burley Sports Center, and they've got Hardat, which is the multi-purpose, use facility. So,
not to mention a downtown movie theater. What about a downtown movie theater? How many places St. Albans size have a movie theater? Not that it's been open for a while.
It just has a lot to offer. And just a case in point, real estate is so red hot. And I have a neighbor 3 houses down from me on Elm Street, put his house on the market 3 days ago. It's gone.
Really?
Chittenden County people are coming in here and buying up housing left and right, anywhere they can get it. Because the property values in Chittenden County, especially in the Burlington area, South Burlington, Shelburne, even going further out, I mean, they can't afford it. So they're just houses in the St. Albans area are just getting bought up so quickly.
Leonard, I have a friend. She had a house about $350,000. She put that on the market. She had 5 serious buyers within 48 hours, had it sold in 72 hours, and on like the 73rd hour, somebody called up and said, "Listen, I'll give you an extra $10,000."
Hawk, where's the house?
In the town.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's all you hear right now. If you want to put your house up, do it right now, because never been a better time. A definite seller's market.
But you need to live somewhere, as I say, and so I figured out my house here, and it's it used to be an apartment house, so it's all one family now. And I got literally, if I want to fix it up right, I can get 6-7 bedrooms out of this place, and it's with taxes, water and sewer, house insurance. Add up those three, divide it by 12, it comes out to $600 a month. You can't find anything that's decent to rent for $600 a month. You might find a one-bedroom apartment somewhere on the second floor, but So I mean, as I say, it's affordable living for sure.
Are you considering selling, Len?
Not at all.
Okay.
No. Why would I? Where would I go? I mean, I can't beat this deal.
Yeah.
I mean, are you crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, so. But anyway, having said all that, I really don't have much else to add, and just that we're going to be able to make tea times online at Champlain Country Club this year.
No, that's exciting news for me.
Yeah.
New.
We
That's
play.
new. That's supposed.
We play in
That's
the
supposed-
evening where they don't have tea time, so it doesn't really affect us.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying you have that option now.
Yeah.
And not everybody will use it. Obviously, they'll still call or go in personally, but you can make tea times online. Supposedly that system is ready to go right at the get-go. They're doing a lot of work in the members' lounge. I was there 2 days ago. They have 2 stone bars. They fixed the walls, new paneling. They're going to put in one big glass door that leads to that back deck, and then they're going to put in a big sliding wooden door that separates the main restaurant from the members' lounge. And the new restaurant owner wants to do quite a bit of catering, and so once the facility is being used for catering, let's say, the members' lounge, you'll have that area to congregate in, and you'll still have access to the main restaurant. I mean, that's only if the thing is full for catering. So those are some of the things going on. And our old friend, former Champlain Country Club Superintendent Al Schwanier, is the new greenskeeper at Rocky Ridge.
Oh, okay. Was he working down in Essex recently?
He was, and last year he was working at Catamount.
Okay.
And he also was, I believe, doing some work at Arrowhead for him as well. And, excellent superintendent. I mean, there's no question that he can grow grass on cement, but you got to, he's got to, he doesn't like to listen sometimes, was my recollection. And, but anyway, I think they certainly have a good greenskeeper, and I think they'll be quite happy with him. And we got a great greenskeeper here. I mean, we got the best one we've ever had. If you add up all the pluses and minuses, I mean, no question, Chris Saylor is just fabulous hire.
Yeah, agreed. So thanks, Len, for calling.
Yeah, who's your third panelist there tonight?
That is the Italian Stallion, Evan Morselli.
Yeah, I guess we've probably never met.
No, he's been on a number of times. You'll be seeing more of them.
Yeah, Evan's on top of his game. Pay attention, Evan. Great kid.
Okay. Thanks, Len.
St. Albans, the lad, or
Georgia or Milton?
I live in Georgia.
Georgia.
So went to high school where?
On the border of Milton. Just like I'm right on the border of Milton, but I'm in Georgia territory. So
where did you go to high school?
I went to SB since we had choice school, and yeah.
And you went where again? I'm sorry.
South Burlington.
South Burlington. Okay. No, I know that you have different options there. So that's how come I don't recognize the name, obviously.
Yeah,
well, enjoy your stay, and the best to all three of you, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay.
Thanks, Len. Thanks for the Cal Raleigh info. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
It's because I cut my hair.
All right.
I think you should give Evan the floor.
Darn. Well, yeah, wake up, Evan. All right. So I see you have a Jason Tatum jersey on, and all I can say is,
Guess whose birthday it is today?
let me guess, Jason Tatum.
That's why I wore it.
How old, Hawk? How old do you think he is?
I would say he probably is turning 23 today.
Very good.
Yeah. What a difference a week makes. At this time a week ago, we were literally in ninth place out of the playoffs. Just 3 wins puts us back in fourth place in home court advantage.
But I'm not as impressed as you, I guess, and I didn't.
Oh.
I paid the Washington Wizards, the 1-point win over Washington, wasn't that a gift from Washington?
Yeah.
Again, you're watching every second of these games, but I'm not struck that this team is all of a sudden a great team. I mean, they're playing at home against some not great teams, and they win 3 close games. So I'm not sure I'm feeling that much different.
They did make a statement last night,
Well,
beating the Clippers.
They didn't have Kawhi Leonard on the floor as well, which
And they're playing in
that could
Boston.
put.
I'm not sure, Hawk. You gotta convince me way more than that.
Oh, no, I agree. All I can tell you, in the last 3 games, the old Kemba Walker has reappeared.
Good.
And
Did he play all 3 games?
Yeah.
Really?
And
He's just not playing back-to-back games.
back. Yeah.
Huh.
And you may see that change going forward, but it's just amazing, the turnaround. And I will admit, I do watch like every single minute. Last night, we went and voted at Collins Pearly,
Yeah.
and of course with mail-in ballots, which I'm vehemently opposed. However, during COVID, I can run with it.
The town got a great turnout. The
Yeah.
city turnout, and of course the city didn't mail out ballots.
Yeah.
City turnout was pretty unimpressive. The town was
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah. So after voting, we decided right in the middle of the season here, let's go down to Milton Diner
No, really.
for supper. So we hit Milton Diner, which I like because it reminds me of the Waltons back in
Milton
the
Diner, yeah, good place.
1930s.
Hawk, you got to go to Rick in Milton. Next time you go to Rick's. Have you ever been to Rick's Grill?
So we go to Milton Diner at 7, closed.
Really?
So I turned the vehicle around, back up a mile, and I went to Rick's,
Oh, good.
which I've been to before.
Okay. Don't you? I think
Yeah,
Rick's
I had
is
chicken
great. I love
fettuccine
Rick's.
there, so it was good. But I went home, did some work, then went upstairs, watched the Canadian game first, then I watched the Celtics. Unbeknownst to me, it was a national game on TNT, which takes the enjoyment level from here down to here.
So the local guys. So again, they're not doing the game.
No,
if
well,
it's national.
the TNT gets the hold of the game.
Okay.
The Celtics can't do the game.
Huh.
And I didn't watch that much. I did a lot of fast forwarding, but apparently they played extremely well. Did you watch that game, Ev?
I did.
So Kawhi, no Kawhi last
No,
night,
he had
huh?
back spasms, and they just didn't want to risk anything.
He's not having. In fact, he's not having. Heard he's one of the worst shooting percentages in the league
One of
at
them.
this
He's not
point.
the worst, but he's not the 2019 Kawhi that we've seen.
Yeah.
He's got to get back on his A game if he wants to get past the Lakers in LA.
So I certainly don't want to watch the Celtics with rose-colored glasses, but
Which I used to have. A good Judge Cashman asked me in court one day many years ago, Richard, you saying the word? I had my kind of the pink tinted glasses,
Yeah.
but a good judge even asked me about him one day.
but Robert Williams is developing right in front of our eyes. And what's he go, 6'10"? Is that-
Yeah, he's a power forward, 6'10".
He plays like he's 5'10". I have never seen such a big man like that, so athletic. And I have never seen anybody, and I may be overstating this, on the alley-oop. Just
Well, that's his go-to.
Yeah.
and he doesn't fail us with that.
incredible.
Yeah, that's a big story.
The only thing with the Celtics is if we've got to make trades because we're not going. I see us being either a first or a second round exit in the playoffs with the team we have right now. I did a little research last night with our salary, and I think if we want to land a decent player with a trade, we got to give Kemba up because that clears a bunch of money for us. In the future, going down the line, into free agency, it gives us more of, I guess, a better option of players if we get rid of that contract that Kemba holds.
Yeah. Evan, I hear you.
But how much interest is there going to be in Kemba?
See, that's the thing.
It's called damaged goods.
Yeah, with the All-Star break coming up, this is the time where teams are going to be making moves. And I mean, if he were to get traded, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Kemba's had a few good games with us, and with, I guess, the value of him isn't high. I mean, we could still get maybe bench players out of it. I think, I know it's like not realistic, but it can be. I think the Celtics should really consider Bradley Beal and from the Wizards. And hear me out. That guy will pull up for 40 points each night, and they'll still lose, even though he doesn't want to.
He's had like 8-10 straight for a 40-point game. They've lost every game,
and like he's not having a good season as a team with Washington, but as an individual player, I think he's going to be the number one player to go for on this deadline trade. So
Hockey
the only two players I would not give up is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Okay.
Anyone else, I would have on the line for Bradley Beal.
That's Jason Tatum's buddy. They're both from St. Louis.
Oh, is that right?
So they're really tight.
They grew up together down the road.
Right.
And
Mr. Evan.
Good chemistry.
Bradley Beal, easily top 10 player in the league, certainly maybe a top 5 player.
Really?
I would say top 5 this season.
Yep.
I would say
The guy's a
arguably
scoring
top
machine.
10 season, like
There
all
are
around.
two guys that super impressed me shooting. The other one's down in Atlanta, Trey Young,
Yep.
who has got those floaters like I have never seen anybody do. However, and he did not make the All-Star team because word has caught up. And certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never, ever witnessed anybody play the lack of defense he makes.
Right.
I'm telling you, Duke, it's worth just watching. He'll score 35 points a game.
He'll just move around with
he's
the
amazing.
attacker. Yeah.
His hands are on the side. He does nothing on defense. And they
Evan,
were.
do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I like. They're a young team as well. They also have to develop. Trey's been in the league for 2 years, I think, right now, and his offensive standpoint really. I mean, I would say shocks me. He could be even a top 5 point guard in the league down the line, but his defense is what really kills the whole atmosphere, and that's why I think agreeing
But let
with
me
Duke,
ask you,
I mean, Nighthawk.
These people have the mentality is there's 5 guys on the court, and I'm the scorer. Mm-hmm. You play defense.
No, I think to play as a team, everyone has to play as a team. You can't have 4 people playing defense and having one. I mean, you see it in a lot of point guards, to be honest. I mean, they're not the type to defend like that, but you got to have some defense. Like lock a guy like Ben Simmons. He's a point guard. He doesn't score from a 3. He'll ISO his way into the paint, but
a very, very good defender.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think Bradley Beal actually makes an effort.
Oh yeah,
like defense.
I mean, I think he makes an effort
But let me tell you
regardless with the
something.
Wizards.
You don't want to lose Tatum or Brown. You can't even start trade conversation because you have to give up one or the other.
Well, you say that, but look what the Nets.
Who would you give?
Look what the Nets did with James Harden. The Rockets wanted either KD and Kyrie, and they came with an agreement to give any of them up, and they gave up a bunch of pieces in a 3-team trade. Now, Peyton Pritchard, he's becoming a star. I could already see it. I see him starting. If we don't trade Kemba, he will start over Kemba going down the line. I say if you get rid of that contract Kemba has, you get more money. You can start Peyton. He can become the player he is, because that's what we did with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. We started him. The Celtics aren't known to start their rookies, but those are the rookies we started, and look what they've done. Now you start Peyton Pritchard, you go get a big man, you go get another offensive threat. You could be seeing us in the finals or the Eastern Conference Finals.
A lot of us Celtic fans want is Harrison Barnes.
Really, former Tar Heel.
Yeah, I mean, his contract's pretty high as well. I mean, he's one of those players that doesn't deserve the money he gets.
What about the trade exception the Celtics have now?
That too.
Apparently, Danny Ainge is going to save that until the summertime.
Yeah.
But the way I'm looking at the season right now is this team is not a championship
I don't even think they're a playoff team right now, to be honest.
No way.
And my feeling is save the trade exception for the summer And I'm not a big Jaylen Brown fan. He's very good.
He's an all-star, yeah.
Of course, his politics probably don't help with you.
My son-in-law called me last week, or I saw him somewhere, and he said he saw me on the show, and he said the same exact thing. He says, geez, you didn't let his politics influence your unlikeness towards him. And I said, you got me on that one.
So I made a trade last night, just out of the bat. So before you interrupt me, I'm going to explain why.
All right, I'll keep my mouth
So
shut.
the Celtics would receive Bradley Beal, Davis Bertans, Russell Westbrook, and money for Bradley Beal. The Wizards would receive Kemba Walker, Aaron Nesmith, Romeo Langford, Jeff Teague, Daniel Tice, 1 or 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. The picks are because, like, how valuable Bradley Beal is, and picks in the NBA as well as the NFL are like the value. You don't see it in any other sports. Now, what Russell Westbrook is, he's not a shooter. He's not a shooter.
He's a shadow of himself,
but he plays good defense. He would either be a good bench point guard, or you play Peyton Pritchard at the guard, the point guard. You play Jaylen Brown at the shooting guard, because Jaylen Brown came in, we drafted him as a shooting guard, and he's developed into a forward. You could play Russell Westbrook at the small forward, because that's what he majority is. Like he can play defense, and he doesn't shoot the ball. You play Tatum at the forward, and then somehow you go get a big man, because the big men we have right now with Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson, they're not good. I mean, or you could start Robert Williams, have him develop into a star as well. That trade I could see happening. And with Davis Bertans, a good scorer, he'd be good for the bench. He could like, because one of the problems we've had in the past too is not having a good bench. It's just we can't. Our bench cannot compete at that level, but they are, and it's not successful.
Evan, when I hear your trade proposal, it reminds me of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is
I know. I had a couple of people tell me.
Who are you giving to Washington? Nobody.
Well, so you're actually giving 2 young stars that we haven't even given a shot.
Who?
Aaron Nesmith and Romeo Langford.
Okay, Nesmith has been a huge disappointment in my book.
Romeo Langford, that's going to really
Langford hasn't even touched the court due to injuries.
I think
the little bit he played last year, he was our first-round pick last year out of Indiana.
It was disappointing, but I feel like you give the young talent to the Wizards, you give some veteran aspect talent, and you give 2 firsts and 2 seconds. I think they can. That could come to an agreement.
Okay.
You're getting rid of Kemba's money, and they have the money because they're paying Bradley Beal a lot. They're paying Russell Westbrook a little bit. Davis Bertans, he's becoming a star for the Wizards. Like, I think he's one of the most underrated forwards in the game.
I will agree with 50% of what you just said. They're young, but they're not talented. Okay, Nesmith has shown me nothing.
Yeah.
Langford hasn't even touched the court this year. He was Mr. Basketball in Indiana as a high school senior. Went to Indiana and didn't play that well. But again, Duke, I listened to Jay Billis. He always says if it's a one-and-done player, you can't really take too much out of that 1 year. He did with the Indiana. And to that point, you and I have something in common. I love Payne Pritchard.
Yeah.
What did he do? He went to 4 years of college, played all 4 years, and actually learned. He learned the game. Yeah.
And I told everyone going in, Payton Pritchard's going to be the one to look at, and we drafted him, which brought me excitement. I think with the players we have, it's like on the Celtics, it's so hard to compete for time because we have very great players. And with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both forwards are taking up. So the forwards we draft or we have, they're not going to get playing time that much.
Kemba Walker really has very little trade value.
I think if he continues to perform the way he's been performing, we either keep him or trade him. That I don't see us like.
Yeah. I just don't see the Wizards wanting a guy in his 30s if they're taking young players on.
How old is he? Low 30s?
31, I think.
Who, Kemba?
Kemba.
He's 31, yeah. But you also got to look at the Wizards' future. Like, as their GM, I don't know who their GM is, but, like, does he see a future with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal? Because those are their only and Davis Bertans is their third big guy. Like, you got Rui. I don't know how to say his last name.
He's good. And I'll be honest with you, if I would have saw you before the season, I would have bet you the Wizards would make the playoffs. I really like the makeup of that team.
I didn't think they were going to be a high seed. I thought they'd be a 7 or an 8th, but like,
Yep.
they're going to get the number 1 pick, most likely. They're going to draft someone, and I still don't see them being good. You know, Bradley's carrying the team every night. You get a shooter who's going, because I see him getting traded, even though he's claimed he wants to stay. I see him getting traded. Like, I don't see why the Wizards would keep him, waste his career with a team that's not even going to make the playoffs within the next 5 years. I could also see him trading Russell Westbrook. Maybe 2 separate deals or together as a package. I think, like, yes, there's some things I could change about that trade, but, you know, I think our focus is getting another shooter, a big man, and a couple pieces for the bench.
Well, let me ask you this. There's a new expression going on in the NBA. First-round picks really aren't that valuable.
Depending where you are in the draft.
Well, if you're in the top 5,
I think if you have a lottery pick, that is valuable because, you know, the prospects that are coming in nowadays, they're like LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, like they're actually performing. You know, I think Danny Ainge just doesn't have a good draft like process. Like, yeah, we had a top 3 pick, that's why we got Tatum. We had a top 5 pick, that's why we got Jaylen Brown.
Right, exactly.
But when we get past, I would agree.
A 3-year-old could have drafted Brown and Tatum.
I think the top 10 are where your players are. Because you see it like this year's, I don't even know who went below 5, but I bet you they're performing. Past that, you're like...
Yeah. Now, the curious thing is, Peyton Pritchard was drafted, I believe, 26.
In the second round?
In the first round.
No, he was drafted second round.
No, Peyton Pritchard was not. As God is my witness, may he strike me dead with a massive heart attack live on the air. I believe he was picked 26 out of Oregon. He, in the mocks, was like in the mid to upper 30s. I was shocked when they picked him, but boy, am I happy if they did. He was a first-round pick. Again, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you were right.
What number?
26.
26.
Very good, huh?
Yeah.
Did we, I think, it had to have been a traded
We
pick,
also had a 30th pick that we traded. A kid named Bain. Then we traded that pick away.
What about the first pick, Nesmith?
Right. And
I think
she's showing anything.
We should have used that. I think it's like I said before. It's very competitive right now at the forward spot. So having little time to show what you have is hard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like we should have drafted a big. That was our problem going into the offseason, into the draft. We needed a big, and we wasted it on a forward. Even though he did good at Vanderbilt, like we needed. I think his name was Sadiq Bey.
They could have had Bay. Absolutely,
we could have had a center.
He was
right
available.
We could have had a center there, or we could have even like traded up
Yeah.
to get a decent center.
Yeah.
And we just didn't. So I mean.
So is Robert Williams is a forward, not a center?
Well, he's a power forward it depends what height you are. Like a power forward could play as a big, but like they really don't. But he could transition into a big man because the height for a center is 6'9" to like 7'1" or however tall you are. But I think we should have drafted a center because that was our main problem.
Well, I will tell you, Tristan Thompson, nice guy, veteran player.
He's a good rebounder. That's about it.
But he doesn't give you much out there. I'm kind of disappointed in him. Daniel Tice, I love.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite players.
He could even be a power forward because he has a little bit of shot in him as well.
Yeah,
he's not tall to be a big man, but he's a big man.
What you're finding out in the NBA is they're not playing players so much positional.
Oh, yeah.
There really is no position in the NBA.
Yeah.
A lot of times, they'll just put their 5 best players out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jaylen Brown could play anywhere.
There was a team that recently did that as well. It was the Cavaliers. They played all centers because they were stocked up on. They got 2 centers from the Brooklyn Nets because of the trade.
Dwayne Allen.
And they had Andre Drummond. They had a couple more centers, and they actually played all centers because all their players were injured. So they played 5 centers.
Really?
Plus their bench for the whole game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they won or not, but that's something that happened.
Yeah. So the Celtics, I think,
got a
play
call,
tomorrow
huh?
night. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
We're
you
doing
doing?
well.
First one to Duke Hey, Duke, our Dukies and Tar Heels are not looking good right now. I was looking at the
You're right.
polls today, and the Tar Heels were 39th, I think, and I don't know if the Dukies were even in the top 40 or 50.
Yeah, the Dukies lost. I watched the game. I haven't even seen that many games. They played Louisville Saturday at Duke. They had a terrible first half. Louisville was up by about 10 at the half. Dukies had a much better second half. It went into OT. The Dukies were up by 1 point with about 10 seconds left. Louisville's got a great Jones, a very good guard. But anyway, went into OT. They lost that, and I just noted last night they lost in OT to Georgia Tech. Dukies are dead for March Madness unless they perchance go on a run. Of course, the ACC tourney winner gets an automatic bid. Zero reason to expect that's going to be Duke or Carolina. Carolina was funny. You probably know this more than me, Bobby. I guess they just scheduled a Marquette game in hopes that playing a decent team might give them a boost to get into March Madness. So they scheduled that out of the blue. Like a week or two ago, they ended up losing to Marquette. So that didn't work out the way Coach Williams. But I think I've been here. I guess Kentucky's showing a little life. But supposedly, the first year that Kentucky, Duke, and Carolina, none of them are in the top 25? Or had been in the 20 since the 1960s or something. I can't
understand it. Is it kind of they didn't get the young talent coming, or what is the situation?
And to be honest, I've just, maybe pandemic related. I just wasn't paying. Dukie's got off to a bad start. I wasn't paying attention to him until they showed a little life. I think they have their usual collection of McDonald's All-Americans, and the Heels do too. What can I say? I think Coach K, he just doesn't look like he's into the season. The Duke women's team bagged the season a month or two ago. I don't know. An honest answer is I don't know what to say. Maybe one of those years, stuff happens once in a while, but
I don't
know what to tell you.
Of course, that COVID has put a wet blanket on the sport world. Even like watching, especially hockey. To me, the lack of fans bothered me the most in hockey. It's just dark and empty where the spectators used to be.
Yeah.
I've been watching quite a bit of the Bruins this year, but, again, we all wish things were back to normal, but I certainly miss the fans,
Yeah.
They were, they're half of the excitement to me.
And and especially for folks like Duke with the Cameron crazies, that must be so weird for the players. Maybe one of the reasons they went to Duke just because of that incredible atmosphere.
Practice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
In football there, Russell Wilson is another guy maybe with a little discontent. So I see a great trade with Dallas and Seattle swapping quarterback.
That's been talked about.
I love Russell Wilson. I being a Ram fan, we see him twice a year, and he's just a Class A quarterback and a Class A person,
Yeah.
Getting him out of our division certainly wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, there has been some. There's so much speculation about quarterbacks, but I've been hearing some of that.
Yeah. So, caller, I pay very little attention to D1 major basketball, but it's Gonzaga.
I give you the last Sports Illustrated. The Gonzaga clearly is a team. Baylor is number 2. Baylor had a recent loss. Michigan's a team that's
Michigan's
definitely up there. I think some people think Michigan's close, but Gonzaga, kind of their days of a Cinderella team, forget it, long gone. This is a great team. I'd like to think they've been so close for so long. I wouldn't be unhappy at all if they won it.
No.
But Michigan seems to be a good team that's really coming on.
No. Now, caller, I do have a baseball question, knowing that you're a Red Sox fan, but I have somewhat intrigue in their first baseman, Bobby Delbeck. Now, last year he had 80 at-bats. Do the math. He hit 8 home runs. That's 1 home run every at-bat. So let's say he
quickly mentioned, didn't he have like 30, 40 strikeouts or something?
Duke, you're not the 21st century guy.
Do you know how many strikeouts he got out of the 80 at-bats? I think it was at least 30.
It might very well be. He gets his full complement of at-bats, 600 at-bats, 1 home run at every at-bat. Bobby Delbeck's going to hit 60. Just kidding. But he's definitely, he's 6'4",
Can hit homers.
230 pounds,
Extreme power.
stronger than a bull.
So we're talking
We're
obviously
talking
a bunch of
35,
homers.
40 home runs legitimately.
He's already hit
Probably
two this-
200
He's already
strikeouts.
hit-
Right, and the strikeouts, but
But
unfortunately,
who cares?
I mean,
People don't care about
we
He,
care.
does.
We
He
care.
has 3 home runs so far this spring.
Does he? Does he
Yeah,
really?
hit 2 today.
Wow, really?
But
Wow.
and again, I'll say it every week.
Tucking first base for him?
Yeah,
First base?
yeah.
First
And-
base or DH, to be honest, because you look at JD Martinez and his age, you know.
Boy,
like,
JD, I hope JD comes back to life. He didn't show much last year.
Because
Yeah, I think the Sox are really going to hit. They have a,
Usually do.
I looked at a potential lineup they have, and their lineup, as far as hitting, looked better than I could imagine.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Just pitching.
again, there's a lot of ifs in the pitching staff, and I'm not quite so worried about the starters. It's 7th, 8th, and 9th where games are won and lost. It's somewhat of an unproven bullpen, and like I think I said last week, their bullpen had a 5.40 ERA last year, and
Better than the
being in that
starters.
division, they're in a good hitting division, and again, the team I love most, their batting order is Toronto Blue Jays.
Toronto's
and the
looking
addition
good.
of Springer to that team, a leadoff hitter that they will have to pitch to. He's a 30 home run hitter, 300 batter, and there's such a good blend of young and veterans on that team. If their pitching does what it should, I would give them a nudge above the Yankees. The Yankees are always good on paper, but they just seem to fall apart as the season progresses. That this happens and that happens, and they end up in
last year, too.
second or third place. And again, every year, I mean, we're like a broken record. We put Tampa Bay. For every year, we have a new reason. We put Tampa Bay in fourth place, and because they lost this guy, because they lost that guy, and they always end up being in first or second place. They have a way of repatching their team after they lose quality players, and they just know how to win.
Yeah.
But it's a tough division, and again, if the Red Sox bullpen can come to life and play good ball, the Red Sox will win a lot of ball games.
Yeah.
Again, I thought they were kind of weak hitting, and I went on the computer and got projected lineup, and they look pretty solid. They look real, not a lot of big names. Like I mentioned last week, they're kind of a franchise without a face, but they have a lot of good hitting, so they should be excited.
Well, I
Most
mentioned
projections have them about 500 teams. Doesn't
Yeah.
Vegas have them with 80 wins or something?
Hunter Renfroe will probably get you 25 home runs with the 170 strikeouts, but he's a good defender. No, and that's what I keep telling Red Sox fans. Don't expect playoffs this year. They're on the rebuild or retweet.
I was gonna say because a rebuild is completely
Right.
And Chris Sale, hopefully the next season will be
I
back.
think the pitching you could say is in a rebuild because we made 2 additions to our bullpen this year with Adam Ottavino and Matt Arides. Like, it's not 2 big names, and I feel like we're under the luxury tax right now, which is amazing.
Yep.
And
Thank you, Mookie.
yeah, well,
wish you well.
I think people said David Ortiz, we won a World Series without David Ortiz. I also believe we can win a World Series without Mookie Betts. One team isn't going to play the whole ball game. It's a team sport. I think the face of the Red Sox is Xander Bogaerts right now. But with the additions of Marwin Gonzalez, Kike Hernandez, Hunter Renfroe, and Jaron Duran from our minor league system, I feel like he could be a great outfielder for us in the future.
Listen, if the Red Sox play well, Chris Sale is back in June.
Yeah.
Okay? And if he can come anywhere close to the old Chris Sale, back in the day when he and Corey Kluber were the 2 best pitchers in baseball, the Red Sox could surprise. And again, if they play 500, be satisfied. But they could surprise. The Yankees do not have a good starting staff.
You look at the Tampa Bay Rays as well. Everyone was like, third place, fourth place, and they went to the World Series last year.
Of course, Blake Snell would seem to be a pretty significant loss for the Rays.
Yeah.
And the caller's right. I always put Tampa fourth every year. I look at who are these guys?
Yeah.
And
No, they've been great. They've been great.
Well, those guys you talk about and you see in their system, those are the minor leaguers that are good. Like Wander Franco, number one prospect in the MLB, belongs to the Tampa Bay Rays. He's going to be a power bat for them as well. But I believe that I don't see us making playoffs. But like you said, if we go over 500 next season, when we add more players, we could be a playoff team.
I agree. I think the Red Sox are back in the fold in 2022.
Oh, really?
Now, caller, if the season opened tonight, would Franchi Cordero be the starting left fielder?
Yeah, but what they have to do, like we mentioned last week, Bogarts can opt out of his contract next year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I'd like to see him fix that, and also Devers has to be signed. You know, if he gets ignored too often, he'll say, "To heck with this." You know, they're ignoring me. I'll test the free agency.
Yep.
So those are your two building blocks right there. These two guys have to be sewed up. And you know, like we say, we're rebuilding, and you know that we'll watch who plays well this year and who doesn't. And they do have 2 or 3 good prospects in the minor leagues that will be ready in a year or two.
Yeah, I think part of the
they do have a lot going for them. And like I said, my biggest worry is the bullpen. When Chris Sale does come back, I don't know. You know, I think I would start him off in long relief. You know, I don't want to hand him the ball and say, go out there and give me 100 pitches, you know. Let him stretch out and let him work his way back in. You know, he will still throw with that erratic motion he has. So, to me, that elbow is always in jeopardy every pitch, you know. And by the way, he's my favorite Red Sox. I love that guy to death. But I hope they take it easy on him when he does come back.
I would sure think they would, especially if it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs, which they probably won't.
You also have Alex Cora, who is really smart with the decisions he makes.
Yeah. Speaking of Devers and Bogart, but Devers, I think Cora's return really helps. I would think. With those guys keeping Devers, I think Devers and Cora are pretty tight. I think.
Yeah, I believe too that the Red Sox. Part of the reason they let Mookie go is because they knew they had 2 superstar infielders. An outfielder is a heck of a lot easier to replace than a great third baseman that Devers could be, or a great shortstop that Bogart
is arguably top 3 shortstops in the league right now. You also have to look at Alex Verdugo, though. He's a young
and again,
talent.
Mookie.
I think he's going to be
now that the shortstop we got was Downs, right?
Jeter Downs, yeah. I see him more playing as a second baseman when getting brought up if we keep Zeller.
I think he clubbed one out of the ballpark the first game of the season. Now, they're pretty high on him. And, you know, you may see Bogarts changing positions in a year or two. You know, he may be moved to the outfield.
That you could argue that.
Really? I've never heard that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could put Jeter Downs when he's ready, MLB ready. He would be second base because we have a bunch of outfielder prospects. And unless you could trade him, I see him playing second base.
Where did you get Jeter Downs? Is he a draft?
No, we got him with the Mookie Betts trade. We got 2 prospects. And
but that trade may not be.
Dude,
I told you, Dan Shaughnessy beats that trade up every chance.
5 years from now, you could say, what a steal.
Yeah.
And again, you save $35 million per year that can go towards Devers and Bogart.
Yeah, the trouble is when there's a trade, too many people look at the trade right then and there, the face value of it, and you've got to let these players play a little bit before you can evaluate.
And again,
but like I say, they've got 2-3 good minor league players now, and you give Bloom a chance and let him rebuild this team. I think they'll be fine. Now, he was the guy rebuilding Tampa every year, and, he has a pretty good resume there. So, give him a chance here in Boston. He'll do fine. I get pretty sick of hearing about how we let Mookie get away. And, he was gone either way, you could have probably offered, more money than the Dodgers were going to give him, and he probably still would have left Boston. I think he had his mind made up a year or two ago.
And again,
I think you're
repeat,
right. I think you're right.
Outfielders are a heck of a lot easier to replace. I mean, look at Verdugo did last year. Now, the Red Sox are in good shape. Now, I do have a question.
Speaking of which, he's a free agent next year also, I believe.
The Toronto Blue Jays, come April 1st when the season opens, I think I read on the computer that are they staying in Florida at their spring training complex?
That's a
and
great
that's where their
question.
home games are going to be?
They have to.
So in Florida, they'll just be.
Are they
They'll be
in
at the same stadium
Dunedin?
last year.
I can't remember where.
Dunedin sounds right. Yeah, a little north of Tampa.
Yep.
That's a good point. Yeah, they're obviously not heading north of the border anytime soon.
Because I know the Nationals aren't allowing any fans at all to start the season.
Most teams are allowing up to like 20% of fans.
Yeah.
Like the Sox are upping.
And
15,
Texas,
15?
of course, is opening up everything next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, one other guy, too, I believe Erod is a free agent next year.
Could be. Yeah.
He's another underrated pitcher for us, too. People sleep on him, but like the stuff he throws when he's healthy.
Well,
hey, 119, just was one win away
your
from
question,
20.
though, when he's healthy. If he can stay healthy.
He had the heart problem last year. That's why he took the year off.
Right.
But, what we've heard from Cora saying he's pitching all right, I believe him. So
yeah, he won 19 the year
Okay,
before.
I'll let you guys go, and great show, guys.
Thank you,
Hey, thanks
caller.
for calling.
Appreciate
See ya.
it. Yeah. No, the Red Sox are playing with house money this year.
Yeah, that's well
think
put.
it's going to be a very fun season for the Red Sox.
Well put.
And, that caller may be correct on Bogarts. If he's athletic enough to play shortstop, he certainly can handle left field.
Yeah.
If this Jeter Downs turns out.
Boy, I didn't know. Caller Bobby, I didn't know he had an opt-out. That was news to me, I think.
My only thing that scares me is like Jared Duran. Like, he's the guy who's been hitting bombs for us lately. I think he has 2 on the season right now. I see him coming up this year, playing with us. He's developed. What I saw last season in spring training, he wasn't there yet, but, like, he's at MLB level ready right now. He might even be brought on right off the bat.
Really? Did he play with Portland? What was it, Portland?
So he was in Portland, and he got brought up to Pawtucket.
Okay.
And right now, when that season, I don't think they played minor leaguers last year.
I guess there was nothing.
But
nothing last year.
I see him and will be ready, to be honest. Maybe give him a few weeks, and it's not Pawtucket anymore. They're somewhere else now.
It's Pawtucket one more season. They're building the stadium in Worcester.
Oh.
The Woo Sox are one season away, so the last season for the Paw Sox.
Yeah. So you do that, and you see how he's working. You could easily play him in left or center field.
Yeah.
So, one thing I found out that I didn't know, that mercy rule they have in spring training, Garrett Richards was pitching first inning last week.
You going to tell me he got killed?
And he was 23 pitches in, and the bases were loaded. And there's a new rule, you can do the mercy rule.
Up until March 13th.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Oh, is that right?
And
so the inning ended?
It's just to speed it up because, the last few years, like, the MLB wants to speed up its game.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm thinking, okay, I didn't know about this. And, well, maybe that's good for the pitcher so he doesn't stress during these meaningless games. But then I'm thinking on the other side, well, what if you have a young hitter at the plate who has an opportunity to drive runs in? Let's face it, the starters don't play all that much in spring training.
They play the first, 4 innings, and then they're taken
right,
out.
they're on the golf course, literally, by the time the game is done. But that's news to me. John Lester, former Red Sox, former Cub now.
Your guys
now in the
grabbed him,
Nats,
right?
their number 4 starter.
Oh.
He has flown to New York. I've never heard this before in baseball, to have his thyroid gland removed.
Yeah. Oh, really?
They knew for a while this could be an issue, and they simply decided to take care of it now rather than wait.
How long will that keep him out of action?
Lester, who is a cancer survivor and has been battling fatigue this spring, is expected to return to camp within a week and could maybe still ready for his first turn in the rotation.
Oh, interesting.
So
that's good enough. It's a quick procedure.
How old is Lester? Mid-30s?
I think he's like 32.
I'm sorry, 40?
40s?
Can you check? I would
I'm
guess 36.
Sorry, I'm way off. I should have said high 30s. Is that right? You think he's over 40?
To go back on Garrett Richards, though, I'm not going to sleep on him because I felt like he was one of the underrated pitchers.
Red Sox seemed pretty enthused about him.
He looked nervous. He wasn't throwing his stuff that he was last year with the Padres. He was one of the main reasons why
Oh, do we have a
Got
call?
they went
All right,
to the
let's
playoffs.
get back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, David.
Hey, I recognize that voice.
I'm trying to keep a low profile after going to Florida over the weekend.
He's
So
37.
tell us about the trip. Some good golf, some decent weather,
yeah.
beautiful weather.
87 every day,
Wow.
sunny, nice. Golf courses were terrific.
Wow.
Played pretty good.
How was your golf?
Not bad.
Not bad.
I had a couple of really good rounds.
Wow.
And the great thing about it, when you get out of the airport, as soon as you get into Florida, it's like COVID never existed.
But it's funny you say, you mentioned that to me earlier, Dave. Tell that to the former president, because I'm hearing he was a bit thrown off when he belatedly made it to Orlando for CPAC, and they were socially distancing folks in there. And folks I'm hearing say that just kind of threw him off a little bit. He didn't have the usual packed house, so they were definitely doing something in Orlando.
Well, I think I think if you're indoors,
I guess indoors maybe.
I think if you're indoors, I know if you go to the grocery store, if you go to a restaurant, you got to wear a mask when you go in. The people that are working at the restaurant are wearing masks. So, I mean, it's not wide open, but I think it's just because the weather was so nice and so great. And then when you come back and you get off the airplane in Plattsburgh, it's like unloading in Pyeongchang, North Korea. And before you get off the plane, there's some National Guardsmen wanting you to fill out paperwork, where you've been and all that.
Wow.
In Plattsburgh?
Plattsburgh.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Did you have a direct flight? Is that why you went out of Plattsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it was fun. Let's see, what can I watched for about the fifth time in the last 5 years that special on Golf Channel on Arnold Palmer last night. Every time I see that, what a great guy! What a great character!
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good timing. Of course, the Arnold Palmer Invitational Bay Hill starts tomorrow. Of course.
And he was really something. And then I did watch some of that Seattle baseball game today. I watched Cal Raleigh get that hit.
All right.
Oh boy, the ball jumps right off his bat. I think he's going to stick.
Wow.
We were David, we were talking to Leonard early on the show about him, and I made the point they have nothing for catching. That Tom Murphy's their starter. He's 30, but he's not that good of a catcher. So, and they're a horrible team. So Raleigh should be able to come up to the big club here early summer.
And that's such a good position to be, especially if he can turn himself into at least a half-decent defensive catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a good position to be if you got
and he's a left-handed bat, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you what was awful was watching ESPN. What they did, they didn't even tell you who was up. I had to figure out where he was batting in order by getting my phone.
Really?
And looking at the batting order on MLB.com.
Huh.
All they did during the whole time the game was going on is they would have a chat with somebody behind the bench.
Really?
Like Rizzo or any of them. And what a terrible, terrible announcing crew. Oh, it was just awful.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That's why we always complain when your team is on the national game of the week on ESPN. Yeah. It's horrible.
It is. Now, we lost an old giant this week.
Oh, he
one of my old good lineman, John Mendenhall.
He played nose tackle for the Giants back in the 70s.
Huh.
They had a great defense and a horrible offense. But John Mendenhall out of Grambling What a terrific ball player.
He was really good when they weren't.
Yep. Yep. They had, pretty good linebacking core. Brad Van Pelt was on that team. He died of cancer. I'm trying to remember. Jack Gregory, defensive end.
A football death that got a lot of attention when Mr. Cross.
Gregory came from Cleveland. Yep. Yeah.
The Giants, and then there's some linebacker, Van Noy. Yep. There's some talk that he got cut today by
Dolphins.
The team that he signed
Dolphins
for.
cut him.
Come back home to New England.
Hey, come back to come back to Foxborough.
Well, the word is he's a Jersey guy, and he knows Patrick Graham, and of course he toiled with Joe Judge in Foxborough, and they say he's a perfect fit for the Giants.
No, really. So some Giants talk, huh?
Yeah.
Or how much money they've got to spend $20 million on Leonard Williams, and then they've got Tillman, and then.
David, as much as I like Leo Williams, every day I'm starting to shy away from him. I'd rather have two good players at $10 million than one great player at 20.
I don't think the Giants will let him go, though.
I don't either, because it'll embarrass Gettleman, who made that trade to get him. Yep. Yeah.
Now, who else was I?
Well, the free agency starts 2 weeks from today, 4 o'clock.
Kyle Rudolph was just released from.
Now they may save some money with by getting rid of Nate Solder.
They could cut him, it probably more likely, but he did indicate a week ago he wants to come back and play. And if that's the case, they'll push him over to right tackle because Andrew Thomas, the rookie, will continue to play at left tackle.
But I think it's going to be tough for all the teams if the salary cap comes down $20-30 million. How do you figure it out?
Yeah, it looks like
it might come down that much.
It's going to settle somewhere between 180 and 185. Yeah, definitely.
So Kyle Rudolph from the Minnesota Vikings was just released.
Yeah,
tight end.
Kyle Rudolph, who's a decent player, but he was a victim of money.
Yeah, Lions just signed Tyrell Williams as well. He was he was the wide receiver.
J.J. Watt got a big deal with Cardinals.
Yeah.
Boy, not too many people saw him going to that team, did they?
I had him going to either Green Bay or Cleveland, to be honest, where two contending teams were, and he chose the Cardinals.
He's a shadow of himself. He hasn't played well in 3 years. They grossly overpaid him.
He played really good this year, though, with Houston. He had a lot of pass deflections. I think that's one of his main or his main pointers. But I feel like he's just a big name in the free agents. A big name's going to get big money. So
Arizona wants to contend with Kyler Murray at quarterback. They feel like this year they can make the jump.
He's a stud. That guy can play.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of the Jets are answering phone calls if you call about Darno. That's a surprise.
Yeah. He I think, Dave, he can be had for a second-round pick.
Really?
Yeah.
And what else can I tell you? I didn't watch a lot of sports last week. I did watch just a smidgen of the golf.
I love the court. Nice course in Bradenton. Of course, I was supposed to be in Mexico City. They got moved to Florida with the pandemic, but the concession club in Bradenton looked like a pretty cool course to me. And Colin Morikawa coming off his U.S. Open win at Harding Park in San Fran. Another very impressive tourney. This guy is very, very good.
Oh, he's good, Morikawa. And Koepka's starting to come on, too. Koepka's starting to look like Koepka.
Yeah. And I guess he had a sore neck and stuff, but Koepka's tough. He's very good.
No,
he's an animal.
We got we got Bay Hill this week and TPC next week, a week from tomorrow.
Well, I just thought I'd check in, boys. I'm going to let you go.
Hey, thanks for. Hey, I'm sorry you couldn't have stayed in Florida. That must
God
be
willing,
tough.
I should be back next week.
Okay. Hey, thanks for checking in. Good luck. We'll see you next week.
All righty.
Thanks,
Bye, Dave. So Duke, today, actually last night, the Canadians fired goalie coach Stefan Waite.
I heard, in fact, I was listening to Team 690 today. I think, well, you'd know this. I guess Mark Bergevin had of course, I'm getting mostly questions in French, so it didn't do me much good, but he was definitely getting questions about that.
The timing on this one is a little weird. The firing was announced just minutes after the Canadians defeated the Senators 3-1.
Wow.
Now, I believe he was fired after the second period.
Really?
Nobody knows what really happened.
What's your guys' record this year, though?
The
Canadians,
they're in fourth place right now, but Carey Price.
Of course, they just fired Claude Julien, of course. They just fired their coach.
The reason behind the dismissal isn't clear right now, but Carey Price has struggled pretty badly this season.
Huh.
If they wanted to fire Waite, they could have done it last Wednesday when they let go head coach Claude Julien and associated coach Kirk Muller.
Right.
So this would indicate something happened between then and now.
Huh.
Burke, so they have Sean Burke, who former great goaltender for the Devils many years ago, will be their new goalie coach.
Boy,
But
interesting.
but Carey Price, and I'm sticking to what I believe they should do is the Seattle Kraken expansion draft this summer. Expose Carey Price, get
Really?
on your
Well, you
hands
can
and
only
knees.
have you can have a full lineup as keep, and the rest of the players are up to give. So you take one of your goalies that you have now and not Carey Price, and you get your whole lineup, and then the rest is to give.
So each team loses one player.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Canadians believe the kid, he's 30, Jake Allen, they picked up on the trade from St. Louis, has played fabulous. And part of some people's belief is Stefan Waite, the goalie coach, wanted Allen to play. And he has played much better. And I don't care how much a guy gets, okay?
Yeah.
If you're playing better, you should get the playing time.
Yeah.
Does the Krakens come out in 2022?
Kraken start, is it this year? or
Well, it
next?
can't be this year.
Can you check your tweet machine?
I think it'd be
next year, I
2022.
think,
I
right?
thought it was 2022.
I assume 2022.
It
I'm
could be.
sorry, I guess I should say late 2021.
Yeah.
Next season?
He'll check on that. So
Interesting.
perhaps
I mean, everything's in like what are they going to use the old Seattle Sonics Supersonics?
they are
stadium?
rebuilding that. I think it used to be called the Key Arena.
No, yeah.
So, but you know what? Now that you mention it, I could be very well mistaken here. They could be starting at 22. So he'll check on that. One thing I do want to bring up is UVM.
It was supposed to be in 2020, but COVID kind of like pushed it, I guess, forward. So it's 2021, 2022.
So it is this
So
fall. They
next
start.
this
Okay,
next
so I was
season.
right.
Okay.
You know, the only time I make a mistake is when I think I'm wrong, but I'm not really wrong.
'Cause you don't. I think they don't want all the players
Yeah.
moving around in different spots.
Okay,
causing outbreaks.
let me start with UVM hockey, okay? Now, I think they're literally making the schedule up as they go along.
Yeah.
So they've played 12 games this year. They're 1-9-2.
Wow.
They're in 11th place out of 11 teams. The only team they beat this year, a couple months ago, was Maine, who's in 9th place in the America East. So they're playing at the down in North Andover Friday and Saturday, 6 o'clock against Merrimack, who's 8th place in the league. But for whatever reason, regular season really doesn't count for much because I heard that everybody in the Hockey East will be in the playoffs. Now, what format that'll be, I don't know. But and Todd Woodcroft, the new head coach, you give him a rope about a mile long. You've got to wait 4 years for all these D3 players on UVM.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Sneddon for it either. It's just the mentality of the sports at UVM is just small, okay? They never should have left the ECAC 15 years ago.
Yep, I
because
agree. Was
they
it
don't have the check.
15 years ago, huh?
Maybe more?
I would have guessed a little somewhat less than that, but
Oh,
whatever,
I just
10
see
plus.
UVM It's just a basketball school, even though they're not
Well,
really big on basketball.
You know what,
or
Evan?
hockey.
It used to be you couldn't get a ticket at UVM Hockey.
No, it was a huge story.
It was
Yeah.
huge. And
Yeah, I agree, Hawk. Why did they, just money, just the glamour of a
I
better
like the
conference?
ECAC. Why? Because of the novelty of playing the Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought it was pretty cool. Harvard coming into the barn.
And not to
Clarkson-
mention the folks over in northern New
Right.
York.
Clarkson, St. Lawrence.
Right.
I had no good feelings about going to hockey.
Yeah.
And again, we just didn't have the checkbook to compete. Now, on the other hand, UVM basketball,
They were close, cut 3 days from a big ball game.
yeah, they haven't played. This is my concern.
Since
It'll
they
be-
lost to UMBC in the second of the two games, right?
Exactly. They haven't played since the 19th of February, so it'll be a 15-day break.
Wow.
So they're playing. Where's my
Hartford. Hartford's coming
Hartford.
to town, 4 p.m. Saturday.
4 o'clock Saturday at the Patrick Gym. Now, unfortunately, it's not on ESPN 3.
Oh, yeah, not even on 3.
It's on ESPN Plus, which I think you have
and
to.
of course, radio. It's obvious you can get it on radio.
What do you pay for that?
Oh, my dad pays for it.
Huh?
My dad pays for it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good.
Hawk, obviously you can get it on radio.
Right, but ESPN 3, you can watch it
Right.
on
And it's
TV.
not on ESPN 3.
No, it is not. Now, on ESPN 3, at 2 o'clock, you can watch Lowell against University of Maryland at Baltimore County.
Yeah.
I wish they had an easier name to pronounce. So,
No, just go with UMBC.
so UNBC is ranked number 1 by the virtue of the split
Yeah.
with the Cats 2 weeks ago. So we're playing, Lowell is ranked 6 against number 1 BC, and Hartford is ranked 4th against the number 2 Catamounts. Now, we all expect Baltimore to win against Lowell and the Cats to beat Hartford. So, as usual, the America East Championship will take place a week from Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And my guess is that'll be on ESPN 2.
Yeah. Which usually
that.
is the case.
But with that crazy little thing called COVID, the sporting world, like if Duke doesn't even make, nobody's
And they
even
won't.
going to notice this year. I just think a lot of folks have lost focus, and certainly don't
I
blame them.
I had never paid so little attention to Duke until they got on a little run there for a while.
On sports. So now, I know you're Washington.
We're playing right now. I just checked the score.
Can I ask Kevin? I got to ask Kevin something before we run out of time. Cam Newton, you're still Cam. You're a big Patriots guy.
Yeah.
Is Cam? Do you expect? I mean, is it conceivable that he comes back? Likely? How do you see the Cam Patriots thing?
It's hard. This is like one that I don't know that could happen. So it's what Bill Belichick really sees. You had
I think
a guy.
he probably wants to vindicate him. Hey, this guy's a good. He had a tough year.
I mean,
we had a tough year, but this guy can do
I
it.
think you give that, like you give anyone the weapons that he had, you'd have similar records. But he also came off of an injury. He was gone for 2-3 years. You know, he won 7 games. I'm not gonna hate on that. Like if we sign him for another year, and he does the same thing, and we don't bring in weapons. Cam's not the problem.
He's got a horrible arm.
Yeah,
What do you?
Yes, he has a horrible arm, but he also has a good arm. It's he'll have a good throw and he'll have a bad throw. You also need to have the weapons. Like Jacoby Myers is our only weapon.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like
No,
we
he
don't
had
have
nobody to
any
throw
wide
to last
receivers.
season.
Nikhil Harry, like I said many times.
Talk to me
That-
about
He's not the player we should have drafted. There's so many better receivers that are playing with better
you gotta
teams
admit,
right now.
Nikhil Harry looks great in his uniform.
That's the only thing he looks
He
good in.
looks
I
good
mean,
in his
like I
uniform.
said, the DK Metcalf, we should have gotten him.
Yes.
Look what he's
Back
done in
to General
Seattle.
Manager Belichick, who's
He's a
turned in a
beast.
pretty
So,
tough.
Evan, let me ask
performer.
you this question. Patriots pick 15th.
Yeah.
If Mac Jones is still available, do you take Mac Jones?
No, I take Kyle Pitts.
Okay, I don't think Pitts is going to be around.
That's if he falls to number 15. I would take
Right.
Kyle Pitts
But
because
I
there
can-
are similar quarterbacks. Yes, he went to what?
He
went to Oklahoma or did he go to Alabama?
Mac Jones?
Yeah.
It's Alabama.
Alabama.
He is starting to fly up the
Yep,
draft
that
list.
too.
And some people are predicting he is going to supplant Trey Lance as the third quarterback pick.
I think-
Because unless there's any trades, Lawrence, number one, and Zach Wilson, number two.
I mean, even though we're projected 15, I think the Patriots are going to trade up. They have
Really?
to. They
You know what?
kind of have to.
Boy, they don't usually.
They never do, but you know what?
They
Evan?
have to.
I think they're going to. I think they're going to trade up to get a quarterback.
Why do we never have to is because when we had our QB situation in the past, figured out every
Didn't
season,
have to.
and it was just putting weapons in our defense.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a
Brady.
football question. I got a big news. North Dakota State, they're 39 game, and that's fine. I'm going, wait a second. What's the story? It's late February. Why is the football, forget their streak being broken. What the heck are they doing playing football in late February? Can somebody answer that question?
Isn't that where Trey Lance plays?
Hi, what are we talking? We're talking late February. Why was this game happening?
I think it was like a game that they missed.
Is this
and
a
that they
game
just-
that's going? Is this a season
Okay.
that's never ending?
I think it was a game, because maybe like a COVID game that was canceled that they still wanted
See, I
to
haven't
have.
heard
So they
this?
come back in late February?
Yeah.
I haven't heard this, but this is where Trey Lance plays. And the knock against him, the kid's extremely athletic, is he hasn't played in a year and a half.
But when I see this
didn't
story,
they didn't play last year.
but late February, I'm going. Don't tell. The big story to me is why. Tell me about the game. What are they doing playing this game?
Are you checking that out, Evan?
I was looking at all the QBs
Anyway,
for this season.
3 minutes. Don't worry about
Yeah.
that.
So, and the draft will take care of itself in 2 weeks because once the free agency period is done, in 48 hours after,
Do you think Trey Lance could rise or go down?
I think he's going down.
Do you think that the Patriots have a shot of drafting Trey Lance
I do.
and still getting up into the draft to draft? I don't think we should draft Devontae Smith. I think we should draft the other one from Alabama.
Jason Waddle.
Yeah,
If
I think I know Devontae Smith had a great season, but I feel like future and how you're going to play in the future, Jalen Waddle will be the one. to go
Devontae is
for.
not the biggest
Okay,
guy.
Devontae
either.
Smith has got a body, and I'm being generous, of a high schooler.
He's skinny. He's really skinny.
Yeah, I worry about
He
that.
would not have his height or be weighed at I don't know what it was.
He's got to put meat on him as well.
But the Giants want Kyle Pitts, the big tight end out of Florida. If they don't get him, they will go with Jason Waddle. But what I think the Patriots will do is get a quarterback the first round, and I think there's a 6'4" receiver by the name of Terrence Marshall, who I think they will go after in the second round.
So you think they will? You think they'll say goodbye to Cam Hawk?
Oh, come on, dude.
If anything,
You got a better arm
sign
than
him
he
to-
has.
I'm telling you, there seems to be real doubt about this.
I mean, like I
Belichick
said,
seems to love the guy.
I honestly do. It's just
And
gotta
knowing
have-
Belichick
we
saying,
had
hey,
rookies starting the games, like full-on rookies at all wide receiver core positions. You have to have experienced weapons. That's why I feel like with this free agency, we have a lot of money. We have like the third most money in the league right now for free agency.
and I think the players who took the year off, I think are all those guys
Right,
coming back?
Right.
Yeah,
No.
Dante Hightower. Like it
Yeah.
was mostly defense as well that
Yeah.
really hurt us.
Yeah.
But I see us going into free agency and getting our weapons plus whatever we get out of the draft. Because if you don't have those like mentors, like Julian Edelman can't tell every wide receiver, "Hey, do this right, get better that way."
In defense of N'Keal Harry, who's horrible, but he didn't have the best quarterback in the world throwing
Yeah.
to him last
Yeah,
year.
you're right.
So, well, that's it. That will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our engineer, Mr. Alan Ritchie Cunningham, the Italian Stallion, Evan Marcelli, the Duke Forrest, I'm the Nighthawk, and as always, folks, always remember this, really, you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. So that's it. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
See ya. Be well.